Listen to me. This world doesn't care about your feelings, your excuses, or your one day. This world is built to test you every single day, and only the strong make it through. I'm not talking about muscles. I'm not talking about looking tough. I'm talking about the kind of strength that shows up when the alarm goes off at 4 a.m. and your body says no, but your purpose says get up. Weak men don't survive out here. Not because they're unlucky, not because the system is rigged against them, but because they keep choosing the path that takes nothing from them and gives nothing back. You think comfort is your friend, but it's choking the life out of you. You think playing it safe protects you, but it's been robbing you. Blind for years, every time you avoided the grind, you weakened yourself. Every time you talked big but acted small, you weakened yourself. Every time you let fear, doubt, or laziness sit in the king's seat of your life, you weakened yourself. And hear me clearly, this world has no room for men who surrender to themselves. You're either building something inside you that can carry the weight of your dreams, or you're crumbling under the weight of your excuses. You've been walking through life like you've got unlimited do-overs. You don't. The clock is ticking, life is moving, and the gap between who you are and who you're supposed to be, it's widening. Not because you're incapable, but because you keep negotiating with the weaker version of you. But today you stop running from the truth. This world is not gentle. It will break you if you come unprepared. So the question is simple. Are you going to build the strength to survive it? Or are you going to let your weakness bury you? Weakness is not something assigned to you at birth, stamped on your forehead, or written in the stars. Weakness is a pattern, a habit, a series of decisions stacked on top of each other until they form the identity you walk around with. And because it's built by choice, it can be dismantled by choice. People often convince themselves that weakness is destiny, that they're born this way, that they don't have the mental toughness other people seem to naturally possess. But if you strip away the excuses, what you discover is that weakness grows in the shadows of comfort, and strength grows in the fire of responsibility. The difference between the man who rises and the man who folds is not talent, luck, or genetics. It's the choices he makes when life gives him the option to remain comfortable or push into discomfort. Every day you wake up with two voices fighting inside you. One is soft, familiar, and easy. It tells you that nothing is urgent, that you can deal with things later, that rest is more important, that you shouldn't push too hard. That voice is the architect of weakness. Every time you listen to it, you strengthen it. The other voice, the one you try to ignore, is the voice of your potential. It's not as loud. It doesn't beg. It demands. It tells you to get up earlier, work harder, think sharper, demand more from yourself, sacrifice now so you can win later. That voice is the architect of strength. Every time you listen to it, you fortify it. The truth is, whichever voice you obey becomes the dominant force in your life, and that dominance is a choice you make moment by moment. Weakness is not an unavoidable burden. It is the reward of choosing comfort over growth. When you believe weakness is fixed, you stop fighting. You treat it like a personality trait instead of a pattern that can be broken. But the men you admire, the ones who walk with confidence, the ones who move with purpose and get things done, were not born with some mystical toughness. They chose it again and again, especially on days when they didn't feel like it. Strength is built in the moments of resistance, the early mornings when discipline is tested, the long nights when focus is demanded, the uncomfortable decisions that force you to step outside your familiar identity. Weakness, on the other hand, is built in the moments of surrender, the snooze button that becomes a habit, the skipped responsibility that becomes a pattern, the excuse that becomes a philosophy. When you choose weakness repeatedly, it doesn't just affect one area of your life. It bleeds into everything. You become the man who hesitates, the man who second-guesses himself, the man who needs motivation instead of producing it. You become reactive instead of proactive. The world becomes something that happens to you instead of something you shape. Weakness steals your time first, then your confidence, then your opportunities, and eventually your identity. You start to believe the lie that you're not capable of more, not built for more, not meant for more. But the reality is that your capability didn't disappear. It simply suffocated under years of choosing what was easy instead of what was necessary. Strength is forged through choice. You don't wake up strong. You become strong by refusing to let weakness dictate your decisions. Every time you choose to do the difficult thing, you reinforce the idea that you're someone who can handle difficulty. This becomes a loop. Difficulty builds confidence, confidence builds resilience, and resilience builds the kind of strength that allows you to navigate a world that punishes softness and rewards discipline. You start to walk differently, not because the world changed, but because you did. And that transformation is not miraculous. It is intentional. Pain is unavoidable, but weakness is not. You will face discomfort whether you choose it or not. The pain of discipline, effort, sacrifice, and responsibility is painful, but it leads somewhere. The pain of avoiding effort, choosing comfort, and hiding from responsibility is far worse, because it compounds into regret. Weakness grows in the soil of avoidance. Strength grows in the soil of commitment. And commitment is something fully within your control. Every strong man you know, every resilient person you admire, reach that state because they made a decision. They refused to let their current weakness determine their future identity. They understood that weakness is not a sentence. It's a signal. It's simply the natural result of unchallenged potential. And once you decide to challenge it, consistently, intentionally, relentlessly, you begin to replace weakness with strength, choice by choice, day by day, until the man you once were no longer recognizes the man you have become. The world does not hand out rewards to men who rely on potential, intentions, or dreams. It rewards men who show up, take responsibility, embrace discipline, and execute when it matters. This world is structured in a way that responds to strength: mental strength, emotional strength, character strength, not excuses or stories. When you look around at the people who win, who elevate, who create the life they want, they aren't the ones with the best ideas or the loudest opinions. They're the ones who decided that discipline mattered more than distraction, that ownership mattered more than blaming someone else, and that consistency mattered more than convenience. Strength is not about overpowering others. It's about mastering yourself long enough to build something real. When you understand that, you stop expecting life to get easier and start expecting yourself to get better. Responsibility is the foundation of that strength. A man who takes responsibility stops waiting for someone to rescue him. He doesn't sit around hoping circumstances will magically shift. He understands that everything in his life, his finances, his health, his habits, his reputation, reflects the decisions he made or avoided. That realization is not meant to shame you. It's meant to empower you. Because if your choices created your current situation, then your choices can build a completely different one. The moment you take responsibility is the moment you regain control. The weak avoid responsibility because it demands effort, honesty, and action. The strong embrace it because it gives them direction, clarity, and power. And this world gravitates toward those who know where they're going and take ownership of every step they take. Discipline is where responsibility turns into results. Discipline is what separates the man who wants from the man who gets. Most people fall in love with the idea of improvement, but they never build the discipline to sustain it. They show up when they feel inspired, they work hard when the environment is comfortable, and they follow through only when it's convenient. But discipline doesn't care about convenience. It demands action even when you're tired, even when you're bored, even when no one is watching. The world respects men who can push past their comfort and operate consistently. Because consistency builds competence, competence builds confidence, and confidence creates momentum. When you carry the momentum of discipline, doors open. People take you seriously. Opportunities appear. It's not luck, it's strength expressed through reliability. Life responds to strength because strength produces value. A disciplined man becomes valuable in a world full of people who quit at the first sign of resistance. A responsible man becomes valuable in a culture where blame is easier than accountability. A man who shows up every day without waiting for motivation becomes valuable in a society addicted to shortcuts. Value is what the world rewards, emotionally, financially, socially, spiritually. Weakness produces need. Strength produces value, and when you provide value, The world cannot ignore you. You become someone people depend on, someone people seek out, someone who earns respect not through words, but through evidence. That respect becomes currency in every aspect of life. Strength also changes how the world treats you. People trust strong men. They listen to them. They follow them. They invest in them. Not because they're perfect, but because they demonstrate clarity and steadiness. Weakness, on the other hand, makes people doubt you. They hesitate to rely on you because inconsistency is unpredictable. When you lack discipline and responsibility, you send a signal that says, "I can't be counted on." You might not say it directly, but your actions communicate it loudly, and the world reacts accordingly. Opportunities shrink. Relationships strain. Respect fades. This isn't cruelty, it's consequence. Life aligns itself with the strength you build or the weakness you tolerate. The most powerful part is that strength is cultivated through effort, not genetics. Anyone can become disciplined. Anyone can take responsibility. Anyone can build mental toughness. But many choose not to do. Because strength demands discomfort. It demands that you challenge your excuses, confront your flaws, and sacrifice pleasure for purpose. Weak men avoid these demands because they want the reward without the struggle. But the world does not operate on desire. It operates on demonstration. You show the world who you are through your actions. You show it through how you handle stress, how you respond to failure, how you behave when no one's watching. And the world responds in kind. When you commit to becoming strong, truly strong, the world starts moving differently around you. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You walk with a different energy. You make decisions with clarity. You carry yourself with authority, and people feel it. Life bends toward those who command themselves. Not through force, not through dominance, but through discipline, responsibility, and consistent action that proves they are ready for more. Comfort feels harmless on the surface. It looks like peace, like rest, like a break you believe you deserve. It whispers to you that you've worked enough, that you can start tomorrow, that there's no rush. But comfort is deceptive. It slowly drains your drive without you noticing. It takes your edge, your urgency, your hunger, and replaces them with routines that feel good in the moment, but rob you in the long run. Comfort doesn't destroy your potential with loud explosions. It kills it quietly, piece by piece, in the small daily decisions you barely think about. And the scariest part is that most men don't recognize how much they've lost until years of comfort have piled up and turned into a life of regret. Comfort convinces you that nothing is wrong. It numbs you into thinking you're stable, safe, and fine. But comfort isn't stability, it's stagnation disguised as safety. When you stay in the same patterns, the same routines, the same excuses, you stop growing. You stop reaching. You stop challenging yourself. Growth only happens at the edge of discomfort. Strength is built in resistance. Progress demands friction. Yet comfort tells you to avoid all of it. And because it feels easy, you obey. Every time you choose comfort over effort, you reinforce the belief that difficulty is dangerous or unnecessary. And that belief is what traps people for decades. Comfort is a silent thief of time. It takes your mornings when you hit snooze. It takes your evenings when you scroll instead of build. It takes your weekends when you rest from work you never actually did. Time slips through your fingers because you're not in motion. You're not pushing toward anything, you're simply existing. And the truth is, existence is not enough. Comfort gives you the illusion of having time while quietly stealing the urgency that drives real change. Before you know it, weeks pass, then months, then years, and nothing in your life looks different because you never demanded more from yourself than the bare minimum. Comfort also kills ambition. When you settle for what is familiar, you start lowering your expectations. You start convincing yourself that your dreams were unrealistic, that certain goals aren't practical, that success isn't meant for you. Not because any of that is true, but because chasing something bigger requires stepping outside the shelter of comfort, and that feels threatening. You begin rewriting your own story just to justify staying where you are. The dream didn't die. You suffocated it with convenience and called it maturity. Comfort didn't just slow you down, it downgraded your entire vision. Another dangerous aspect of comfort is that it rewards you in the moment. The dopamine hit of rest, entertainment, distraction, or avoidance feels good right now, which is why people fall into the trap. But comfort only pays you up front. Discipline pays you later, and it pays much more. The problem is that comfort creates a cycle where you keep choosing what feels good instead of what does good. You escape small discomforts today and inherit bigger problems tomorrow. Bills pile up, health declines, relationships weaken. Opportunities disappear, not because life is cruel, but because comfort kept you passive while life kept moving. Comfort also weakens your resilience. When you avoid anything difficult, you become less capable of handling pressure. Things that should be manageable start to feel overwhelming. You lose confidence in your ability to face challenges because you've trained yourself to run from them. Men don't fall apart because they're incapable. They fall apart because they stop testing themselves. Strength comes from pushing through resistance. When you avoid resistance long enough, you lose not only your strength, but your belief that strength is possible. You become fragile, not because life broke you, but because comfort kept you untested. Comfort steals identity. You start becoming someone you didn't intend to be. You recognize that you're less disciplined, less driven, less focused than you once were, but you can't quite pinpoint when it began. That's how comfort works. It changes you slowly, quietly, invisibly. You wake up one day and realize you're living a life built by avoidance rather than ambition. You start feeling restless, dissatisfied, guilty, even angry with yourself. Not because you're a failure, but because deep down you know you didn't live up to your own potential. That frustration is the internal warning siren telling you comfort has taken too much from you. Comfort doesn't just waste your time, it reshapes your character. It turns warriors into spectators. It turns leaders into followers. It turns dreamers into doubters. The world outside is demanding, unpredictable, competitive. It requires sharpness, strength, and self-mastery. Comfort softens all of that. The stronger the world becomes, the weaker you feel. Not because the world is unfair, but because comfort left you unprepared. Comfort is dangerous because it feels good while it ruins you. It makes you feel safe while it limits you. It gives you temporary ease while stealing your long-term greatness. And unless you recognize it for the silent killer it is, you will continue trading your potential for a momentary feeling that leaves you emptier every year. Pain is one of the few constants in life, and yet most people spend their entire existence trying to escape it. They avoid anything that stretches them, challenges them, or exposes their weaknesses. But what they don't realize is that the very pain they're running from is the doorway to the evolution they keep wishing for. Pain shapes you in ways comfort never can. It strips away illusions, it forces you to confront the truth, and it demands growth. When you choose the harder path, the path with obstacles, discipline, sacrifice, and effort, you are choosing to evolve. When you avoid it, you're choosing to stay exactly where you are. Even if where you are is destroying you from the inside out, pain is not the enemy. Avoidance is. The pain of growth is clean, sharp, purposeful. It challenges you, but it also strengthens you. The pain of avoidance is dull, lingering, and corrosive. It builds regret, disappointment, self-doubt, and the silent realization that you could have been so much more. People often think the hard path is the dangerous one, but the truth is the opposite. The easy path is the one filled with hidden costs. It feels safe initially, but it leads to a life of stagnation, missed opportunities, and internal emptiness. The hard path feels painful now, but it builds the resilience and identity you will rely on for the rest of your life. Pain is the price of transformation. Every version of you that you want to become requires a cost. You want discipline? It will cost comfort. You want confidence? It will cost fear. You want skill? It will cost time, effort, and countless failures. You want success? It will cost the habits and excuses that kept you average. Evolution is not free. It demands a trade. The man you are for the man you want to be. Pain is that transaction. It is the currency of growth. The people who become powerful, disciplined, grounded, and respected are not gifted those traits. They earned them by consistently choosing the path that hurt, while others ran toward what felt good. The reason pain leads to evolution is simple. It reveals who you are. You don't learn about your strength in moments of ease. You learn it when everything feels heavy and you choose to push anyway. You don't learn discipline when things go your way. You learn it when life punches you in the mouth and you refuse to stay down. You don't learn resilience when you win. You learn it in failure, disappointment, rejection, and struggle. Pain forces you to study yourself at a level comfort never requires. It shows you your weaknesses, your triggers, your habits, and your excuses. It exposes the parts of your character that need upgrading. Pain is feedback. It's instruction. It's the truth delivered without sugar. Pain also builds emotional and mental durability. Every time you endure something that once felt unbearable, your threshold for stress expands. Things that used to break you become manageable. Things that used to intimidate you become routine. Things that used to overwhelm you barely move your pulse. You become stronger, not because the world becomes easier, but because you become more capable. You start trusting yourself at a deeper level because you've proven your ability to navigate difficulty. That trust turns into courage. That courage turns into action. And that action turns into results. Pain trains your mind to keep going when others quit. Most people break not because they're weak by nature, but because they've never voluntarily put themselves in situations that test them. They've never chosen discomfort long enough to learn they can survive it. They quit early because they expect the journey to feel good. But when you embrace pain as part of the process, quitting loses its appeal. You stop expecting the path to be smooth and start expecting yourself to be strong. Pain becomes a familiar companion, not a threat. You learn to push through instead of pull back. Pain also clarifies your priorities. When things get tough, distractions fall away. You learn very quickly what you want and what you're willing to suffer for. The things you won't endure pain for are not real priorities. The things you're willing to bleed for, sacrifice for, fight for, those are the things that truly matter to you. Pain exposes what is fake and what is real. It helps you cut out the noise and focus on the goals that actually mean something. Ultimately, pain creates identity. It shapes the way you see yourself. It teaches you that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Every challenge survived becomes part of your story. Every hardship endured becomes part of your strength. Every struggle conquered becomes evidence that you are built for more than comfort. And the more pain you willingly face, the more unstoppable you become in a world that is constantly testing the weak. Your future self is not some distant, imaginary version of you. He is real, and he is being built every single day by the choices you make right now. Every action you take is a vote for the man you are becoming. Every decision, every habit, every moment of discipline or laziness, every sacrifice or excuse, every time you push forward or fall back, it all gets deposited into the identity of your future self. This isn't philosophy, it's cause and effect. The man you will be 5, 10, 20 years from now is shaped by the thousands of micro decisions you make without even thinking. And whether that man is powerful or regretful depends entirely on how you show up today. Most people live like the future doesn't matter until it arrives. They behave like their future self will magically be stronger, more disciplined, more focused, more successful, even though their present actions show no evidence of that transformation. They assume the future version of themselves will handle everything. The fitness they're neglecting, the dreams they're delaying, the responsibilities they're avoiding, the money they're mismanaging, the habits they refuse to break. But the future self is not a superhero waiting to rescue you. He is simply the accumulated result of who you are consistently choosing to be right now. Your future self is always watching. He feels every decision. When you fall back into old habits, he's the one who pays the price. When you choose comfort over purpose, he's the one who inherits the consequences. When you avoid challenges, he's the one who becomes weaker. This is why people wake up decades later feeling like life slipped away from them. They didn't lose time. They abandoned their future self by refusing to invest in him. They stole from him repeatedly without realizing it. Every delayed goal, every broken promise to yourself, Every moment of procrastination is a withdrawal from the life you say you want. But the opposite is also true. Every time you do something difficult, every time you honor your commitments, every time you take the step you don't feel like taking, every time you lean into discipline instead of emotion, your future self gets stronger. You're building him rep by rep, decision by decision, day after day. You're giving him more opportunities, more options, more power, more freedom. And eventually, the man you built becomes someone you're proud to meet instead of someone you're ashamed of becoming. There's an unspoken reality about life. You never stay the same. You are either upgrading or downgrading yourself. You are either preparing your future self or sabotaging him. Neutral doesn't exist. Even your time spent doing nothing is not neutral. It's actively shaping a weaker version of you. And that version will eventually step into your life with all the limitations you created. You cannot hide from the man you will become. You meet him every morning in the mirror, one day at a time. Your future self is also the one who carries all your regrets. He's the one who feels the weight of every opportunity you ignored, every dream you abandoned, every shortcut you took. He's the one who has to live in the body you didn't take care of, deal with the habits you didn't break, navigate the relationships you didn't value, and suffer the consequences of the discipline you avoided. Many men don't truly understand regret until they meet the version of themselves built by years of neglect. And by then, the damage is not easily reversed. But the incredible thing is that your future self is also your greatest source of motivation. If you choose to see him that way, he is the one who benefits from every moment of discipline you commit to today. He's the one who gets to enjoy the life you're building. He is the one who will stand stronger, more confident, more capable. Because you decided to take responsibility now. When you picture him healthy, focused, grounded, accomplished, you begin to realize that everything you want from life depends on how loyal you are to him today. This is why people who operate with long-term vision move differently. They don't chase cheap dopamine because they understand the trade-off. They don't waste years seeking comfort because they know it weakens the man they're becoming. They don't lie to themselves because they know the future self remembers everything. They act with intention because every choice shapes the quality of their life later. You are building your future self whether you acknowledge it or not. He will exist, he will arrive, and he will be built from the raw material of your current habits, decisions, and standards. This understanding should push you to stop thinking in days and start thinking in decades. Not to overwhelm you, but to wake you up. Because every small action done consistently compounds into massive transformation. And the future version of you, the one with strength, discipline, clarity, and purpose, is counting on you to fight for him right now.